Did you move out here right after St. Lawrence?
I had a couple years in Boston.
Oh, why was that?
I had a couple. Well, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So let me back. So I had a couple years in Boston. I worked at Rolling Stone in New York. I was an intern there. That actually wasn't as cool an experience as I hoped. I didn't really take advantage of it as much as I should.
Sure. You got that through college, like, or just applied for the internship?
I was a big Rolling Stone fan, and I went there, and I was like, I'm going to own this town. And then I showed up. The first day, I got yelled at by Jan Wenner. Oh. I was sitting at a messy desk, and it wasn't my desk. We didn't have desks as interns. So he just walked by, saw whatever messy desk I was sitting on, and he like called attention to me in front of the whole office. He was like, look at this desk. Look at this bullshit. What is this shit? This place is a mess.
Jeez.
Yeah. And it wasn't that great. But I wasn't out pitching. I didn't know. I wasn't pitching articles and stuff. I didn't know how it worked. Because in Florida, I actually worked for the Tabloids. That was my... it was a little bit after school job and also a summer job. The National Enquirer and the Weekly World News
Florida?
Are based in Florida. Oh, I'll give you an earful about the Tabloids.
Please do.
So they're both based in Florida, and I had a neighbor who knew I wanted to be a writer, and they were like, well, I might be able to get you in at the Enquirer. So I was one summer I was just kind of like an office helper, paid office helper, and then
just
I went
administrative or whatever.
I mean, I tell people and people think I'm joking. I was a fact checker. And this was a big
Wait, what does
summer.
that entail?
I remember calling up the White House press office trying to confirm that these certain types of pretzels were Bill Clinton's favorite pretzels. It was that type of stuff. And then
it wasn't the headlines, it was the minutia.
It was the minutia. And then if someone didn't show up in the mailroom, then I would get demoted to the mailroom.
Oh,
that was kind of fun too.
But wait, I have so many questions about this. Yeah. What was the vibe of that office? Did they know they were doing seedy shit? Or did they feel like they were doing important work?
It was a mix. The joke was that people go to the Enquirer or the Tabloids in general when they end their career, because that's where you go to cash in for the big money. Like
after a newspaper gig or something?
After often very legitimate careers. So the joke was that I was starting my career where most people ended. So, it was a little seedy, but people were very serious about their work. I was there for a pretty big summer. It was the summer of love, the summer when Bert and Lonnie Anderson broke up and Julia Roberts and Lyle Lovett got married.
Oh, man.
So those were two big bombshells. And I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but what I heard was that Bert was calling up being like, you want my wedding photos? How much?
Oh, fascinating.
Bert's a Florida boy. He lived only, a couple times over in Jupiter. But I remember Lyle Lovett and Julia Roberts, people were blown away.
How are they sourcing their story? I feel like in a movie I saw, they were just throwing darts at names and verbs and stuff to get their headlines. I assume it wasn't like that, but were they
not the case?
Were they concocting ideas, or did they actually have some sort of legitimate rumor base to start it?
When I was there in the 90s, and I can go back to the 70s because I just wrote a Tabloids script about it, so
that's amazing.
Very well versed in the 90s. Yeah, there is a factual seed in there that starts the story.
Yeah.
Then everything is very vetted by lawyers, and it's what can we get away with? But they kind of play fast and loose with hearsay in a way that legitimate media would not.
Well,
but
not
it
anymore,
does,
am I right?
It's fake news, very topical. But it does start someplace real.
That's fucking fascinating.
And oftentimes it's generated sometimes by the celebs themselves. There was
of course, absolutely.
Roseanne and Tom Arnold. Every time they would go out to dinner, there'd be tabloids there, and Tom Arnold would throw a shit fit, make a big, what are you guys doing here? Get out of here! Get away from Rosie! Whole time, Tom Arnold is calling them up. Yeah, and he got exposed on air. They showed a cash check from Tom Arnold because he was pushing them too hard.
That's hilarious.
He was throwing them under bus.
So overall,
then I worked at the Weekly World News, which is the really crazy one. Same office building,
alien one.
Elvis stories. That was a lot of fun. I would take pictures of my friends in college and send them to the Weekly World News, and they would get $45 and appear in the newspaper as a scientist or someone who got Princess Diana's liver or someone who was attacked by a citrus monster.
Oh
I'm in there as a doctor and a scientist a couple of times. Now that one was all completely
bullshit,
and then a mix of weird AP stories to make it seem a little more legit. But there is a disclaimer in it.
Did you have to sign any NDAs or anything while you worked there?
I don't think so. I mean, if I did, I can't remember it anymore, so.
Overall, it was a good experience.
Overall, it was a great experience. It was really good. It taught me how to write those types of stories. If I was smarter when I went to Rolling Stone, so I think when I went to Rolling Stone, I was expecting things to be handed out more a little bit on a platter because the tabloid thing was like small, like cozy, and I got paid, and people actually listened to me, and I got to write some stories. So Rolling Stone was a little more cutthroat.
Yeah.
I was expecting some 60s, throwback. I was like, oh, this is so corporate, but I just wasn't. Cutthroat enough for it.
I want to ask about guilt with that, but given like Tom Arnold paying these people,
Guilt.
you probably had.
I was 18.
Right, but like looking back, maybe. And totally fine if you don't have any. I mean,
Do I have any guilt? I don't think. I mean, I guess I feel a little dirty. I don't feel dirty about the Weekly World News because that was almost like a comedy writer's room, and where we'd hand in the note cards, and there was like the Southern guy, and he'd read them out loud and be like, "That's crazy. Oh, I love it. That's they were about swamp monsters and Bigfoot and stuff." The National Enquirer, a little dirty, but I did when I went back the second summer. I requested, "Can I go to the Weekly World News?"
Yeah.
So maybe a little dirty. Maybe a little dirty. I've got a lot of dirt on me. That ranks low on my guilty scale.
I'm just gonna come clean with you. Why not?
Please.
Before I moved here, I was in Minneapolis.
Oh,
I was bored out of my gourd. I was not fulfilled in my day job working in a cubicle as an engineer. I wanted to entertain people, so I started a little Twin Cities gossip website called TC Starlight, which is still active, and I still make a little bit of income from the old articles.
Okay.
Basically, whenever a celebrity would come to town, be it a musician, a comedian, an actor, whatever, I would find like comments on social media about seeing them, pictures and stuff, and I would just post them on there and make like snide comments about the celebrity being in Minnesota. It was very TMZ Minneapolis is kind of what I advertised it as. I had a lot of fun doing it. I got really good at writing every day. Granted, it wasn't substantial. It's just little blurbs, but it forced me to write every day. I feel a little guilty about some superficial stuff I would write about, like what they were wearing or whatever, kind of, like People Magazine or whatever does. Like
pig.
They went out in Uggs and sweatpants, but that's just like I was modeling after other stuff I saw. So I have a little guilt about that website. So
so you're projecting that onto me.
No, I'm relating to you is what I'm trying to.
Well, can I say something? I hope that's what your TV script is about, because that sounds like gold.
Wait, what part? The whole thing?
A TMZ website in the Twin Cities? I love this show. I want to work on this show.
It's so funny. I got referenced in like
I think that's great.
In like normal papers multiple times with the stories I broke.
That's amazing. And you said it still exists in some form or another?
Yeah, tcstarlight.com. It's still, all the archives are up there. I haven't updated it in a long time.
All right. I do think that's a great idea for a sitcom.
That's interesting. I'll think about that. But it was just one of those things where I was bored and unfulfilled and I needed to do something. So I was like, here's content I can make.
Yeah. Huh. Well, my old roommate, I guess my first roommate in LA, I was, working on my screenplays and my novels, and he was working on some blog, and I was like, what is this guy doing working on a blog? Like, what's he doing? And he ended up being Mark Lasanti Defamer. Do you know that website? I'm dating myself.
Yeah.
That was Defamer. So we go out to like a bar, and I'd hear girls talking like Defamer this. I'd be like, they're talking about you. Go say something. And he'd be like, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
People were like, you live with Defamer. It'd be up on the screens when I go to meetings and stuff, and I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah,
I missed the boat.
I mean, that's when it was. It was like when blogs are big and celebrity blogs, and this is it.
Oh, wow!
I put like the last thing I put.
You
was
guys
Brock
at home
Lesnar.
can't see this, but all right, 2014.
The last post I put was Brock Lesnar selling his house. I pivoted into real estate a little bit, like whenever celebs are selling houses.
This looks good. Who were your big celebs in town? Did you also do celebs that live there?
Yeah, like Brock Lesnar, the athletes, like Ricky Rubio was a big one, the basketball player. Josh Hartnett was always around. Nick Swartzen was always around.
Oh, very nice. Wow.
Anyways.
I love it. That's IP. We call that IP in the business.
Yeah, there's a lot of articles on there because I was very bored.
We sell the shit out of this.